StereoKit is for C# developers, especially those that don't have a lot of mixed reality experience. I really designed StereoKit to be very easy to learn. So like I always imagine, like, what if I was teaching this to students? Like, what would they think of this API? How difficult would it be for them to learn? But at the same time, it's also a very powerful API as well. So while it's easy to learn, it's also very expressive. So the idea is, like, if you're a C# developer from enterprise, or like not from necessarily game development or anything like that, you can just dive into this, learn it really easily, and start getting productive really fast. So it also helps to, because of the iteration time that StereoKit has, it's very fast to like just go through, try things, experiment a little bit. So it's also really good for rapid prototyping and iterating on your designs. So hopefully StereoKit is for everybody, but I focus mostly on these people who don't necessarily have experience with mixed reality before.
Yeah, welcome everyone to the fourth talk of the spatial room and the Global XR conference. So this presentation will be given by Sylvie from TNO, and her presentation is on SocialXR, real-time socially focused 3D rendered shared experience. So take it away, Sylvie.
Thank you very much. Hi, everybody. So as I was introduced, indeed, I'm Sylvie Dijkstra, and I'm working in the Netherlands Institute of Applied Sciences. I'm going to present to you today the concept of SocialXR and what it means as the real-time socially focused 3D rendered shared experience. So it's a loaded title, and I'm going to go through it in this presentation. Before starting, I wanted to also mention that this research has been done with the team of experts that are mentioned in this slide: Leonor Farmosel, Tessa Klinder, Simon Gunkel, Maria Boon, and Omar Niamut. So let's dive into this topic. And I would like to first directly say what you're going to go home after this presentation of today. And the key takeaway is that combining ultra-realistic XR human representation with dynamic XR environment will empower users with a real-time communication platform and valuable representation for interaction. This is globally what you're going to learn today with me. So before diving into that, I would like to show something that is quite interesting, because during this conference, you've been all talking about the metaverse. Now, what is the metaverse? And you can see in the snippets of news that I'm showing now, a lot of people are trying to define it and also asking, what is it actually? Is it like internet, but then in 3D? Or is it a social network, but then in virtual reality? Is it maybe like these buzzwords such as like SocialXR, Web 3D, neural rights, NFT, and so forth? Is it that the metaverse, or is it also englobing 6G, AI, blockchains? So basically, metaverse is for us a sort of buzzword that contains everything and also nothing. So Why I'm starting with this is because, I mean, during this conference, we've been all defining what the metaverse is. And I'm not going to do that in this presentation. I'm not going to provide yet another definition. There's enough definitions, as you know, about Matthew Ball, for instance, which is a reference in defining the metaverse for us. I'm not going to define another type of definition for the metaverse. And I don't want to do that because I want to talk about something important, a topic that is important for the metaverse, a building block that will allow human interaction in the metaverse. So let's dive into that, actually. I'm going to show you now what SocialXR is. And SocialXR, to our sense, is about creating an inclusive and social reality. And for doing that, we are talking about the interaction between people, that is a multi-user, so not only just one, having two humans interacting with multimodal immersive experience, that is just not only audio or only video or other modality, is really comprising many modalities in the experience to make it immersive. And so I'm going to show you a bit how we're doing that at TNO. So we think that SocialXR is a social interaction paradigm. That is that there is a mediated information. And for us, XR technology is the technology that will enable the social interaction, where people can experience a social presence and then can engage in real time. So how do we define that? There's multiple layers to that. First of all, there's a spatial presence, which means that you feel being together. And there's a social presence. So not only you're somewhere, but you're all with others. So that means you feel being together somewhere. And of course, when we talk about XR, and especially the VR modality, we talk about the self-embodiment. So that means that you need to feel being in your own, the body substitution. The agency means that you also will be able to act with your surrounding and environment. So that means that it needs to feel coherent so that we can really feel being in an environment. Multimodal means then we need also to have multiple modes of communication. So as I was saying, talking, hearing, but also seeing, touching, and so forth. So we are really introducing a whole new way of communicating. And as we have seen, I think in many presentations already, communication is not made only by talking and hearing. There's a lot of non-verbal social cues that are key for making a conversation being valuable. So you talk about expressions and gaze and movements. So in this presentation, what I'm going to show you is what are the social XR needs for the metaverse. And for that, we're talking about bringing those concepts of social XR into building blocks, so to speak, the needs that will be fulfilled and reached in the metaverse. And for that, I'm bringing a new topic, which is called a tailored end-to-end transmission chain. So what we need to do, actually, we cannot say that there's one social XR system that can be built. There are many. But these building blocks, they will be defined by a specific use case and a specific need. In all the needs, we see four elements that always occur. We always see that we need to have a better eye gaze. That is, people need to feel seen and also understood during the experience. But also the sense of shared space. That is, are we meeting in the same virtual environment or are you joining me in my environment? This is the global sense of the spatial presence. For the metaverse and for the social XR to exist in the metaverse, we need to create an experience persistence. That is, if we remove the glasses or if we remove our displays and go out of the metaverse and coming back, we need to feel that we are still in the same state and the same experience so that we are creating a valuable experience. And for the experience to be immersed, we also need to have real-time communication. So if there's any sense of delay or latency in the way we communicate, that's going to create a huge problem in the future of work, actually. So for that, I'm presenting to you a bit what we are looking at in terms of ecosystem. We have a reality-virtuality continuum that is going from the real environment to the virtual environment. And I think pretty much all the experts in this conference that know it, we are combining several modalities of this to create an experience. We can enhance the real environment with some augmented reality to it, and we can also have some virtuality mixed with the real reality. So in this way, what we see is that the digital transformation enables organizations to rapidly shift towards pervasive technologies, because these technologies are really heavily being invested in. We can think about augmented reality, virtual reality, and mixed reality. So I'm going to show you a bit what the building blocks are in terms of SocialXR. And here, for us, the fundamental blocks are the following. We need to have a 3D capture and rendering of the user. This is key for SocialXR interaction. And not only that, we also need to integrate social touch. So in this presentation, I'm not diving into that particular block because of time, but know that this is something that is also important for creating an immersed experience. Again, real-time communication is key, and key for a specific use case where we have reached technical requirements. So I'm going to show you two examples of work that we have been busy with that show the impact of this SocialXR for the metaverse. So during the pandemic time, old people couldn't meet their family, especially the people that are at nursing home. They were people at risk. So for that, what we designed is a system that can enable older people to meet their family safely, but through AR. So people, like the family was captured with a 3D sensor, in this case, Azure Kinect, and were projected in the environment of the older people through AR. And in that way, what we managed to do is to have a societal impact that is of great value, especially during pandemic, because then we enable people to feel less depressed and less lonely. So in that way, our systems are also inclusive. We really think about including everybody in the chain of communication. So not only just working people. And talking about working people, we also designed another system in collaboration with Connect2, where we design an entire virtual office. And in our virtual office, we enable colleagues to meet in VR so that wherever they were in the world, especially in the pandemics at home, they could meet and connect in the same environment, a shared virtual TNO environment where they could meet and share their meetings. So for instance, by sharing the screens or sharing presentations and so forth. And this system I'm going to show you through a video later on in this presentation. So you are all here to know also a little bit more about building blocks and what the technical aspects of SocialXR is. And for me, I want to make sure that we are all building a metaverse that is comprising integrity, but also flexibility. By this, I mean that we are going to make sure that people feel that they are well represented, at the same time that they don't need to have a specific device or a specific infrastructure needed. It should be working on almost any device. And to start with, I'm going to show you this little example of what I believe, well, we all need photorealistic representations. And here's an example through this video that is going to play now. I don't know why it doesn't play. So here, what I'm showing here is that, for instance, this has been shown during Meta Connect event, where Meta showed their view on how people will meet in the metaverse through avatars. And you can see that you can customize your view with the skin tone and skin and face shape and so forth. But clearly, this is already an old kind of way of doing, because we have been doing that also with Mies, as you can see from this virtual environment. I'm going to pause here and show you that actually this is the new way of considering representation of a human. And you can see here that people are wearing glasses with a specific goal, is to actually remove it virtually and through AI display again the face. So this is done very simply by having a phone capture of your face and using AI to reconstruct it afterwards. And it's quite powerful because it provides a very ultra-realistic representation of yourself. But we need to make sure that this representation is a very high quality photorealistic representation for situation where the implicit and explicit trust is required. So for instance, for business, for family meeting, or for teaching or skill transfers, you need to have the eye gaze, you need to have the proper recognition of your own identity in the experience. So coming back to the system that we have designed, I would like to show you a brief video where I show you exactly what it meant for that system to exist and what the impact is of bringing people together in a social XR interaction.
With the metaverse, we can dream in a way that we couldn't before. We at TNO are at the forefront of innovation. We connect people and knowledge through innovation. We're working for decades in the domain of multimedia research and real-time streaming. Building the metaverse will be perfect to converge technology and bringing concepts to life. Virtual reality platforms, wherever they are located, are connected and interoperable. And that is what the metaverse is about. It's an integrated network of 3D virtual worlds.
On the technology side of the metaverse, we as TNO work on real-time communication. We are building systems that allow remote colleagues to connect into virtual reality meetings in one virtual space. Simply, our technology stack consists out of 4 blocks. We capture the user in color and depth. We process the capture in 3D and photorealistic quality. Our transmission is as easy as traditional 2D video conferencing, and we collaborate with our partner Connect2, who integrated our technology stack into a deployable and easy-to-use product.
During the COVID pandemic, most employees worked from home. That gave us a perfect opening to see how we could strike a perfect balance between working from home and now after COVID, working at the office. With technical developments such as SocialXR, we keep the advantages of working from home and combine them with the social advantages of being together at the office. There are many opportunities for companies to use it. We can work together from different locations, even internationally. We can use it in the healthcare sector for e-consults. We reduce the need to travel, and eventually you can even use it from home.
Normally, I would call my colleague in 2D for video calling, but with this system, it just felt like we were together again. I'm really excited about all the innovation we have on this topic. We're ready to build a metaverse together with you.
So as you saw in this short video, this system has enabled many of our colleagues to meet and to actually share an experience. However, as you saw, we needed to put VR glasses on, and that was actually a major fall for our interaction way, because what we experienced in this communication system is that people missed the eye contact and the eye gaze. So we have developed another block to this communication chain, which is to remove the glasses. So just a bit like what Meta proposed with the AR system, except that we do it in a much different way. We still use point clouds and we still use real capture of users. And why we do that is because we want to have a real impact into the recognition of the persons. We really capture the person in the moment and we share exactly what has been captured. We're not going to modify it. Ergo, we're going to guarantee that this is really the true capture of the person. So the head-mounted device, they cause a major occlusion, and the import of facial features, especially the blinking and looking, so the eye gaze, are missing. So for this, these important social cues, they convey the sense of co-presence. And we now developed this block that enables that. And for that, I'm going to show you a little bit the pipeline. So it's kind of technical aspect, but I think it demonstrates also the flexibility of this system as well. So let's dive into that. First, we need to capture the user. And that is, we need to capture several poses so that we can know how the user looks from the side, from looking up, looking down. These are what we call pre-processing, and these are static captures for which we actually, we also need to combine with a real-time capture. The user is then using the HMD on their head, and these two combined will go into a processing chain. So on top of HMD removal, you can think of foreground background removal or eye gaze determination from the glasses and so forth. Here I'm highlighting the HMD removal block, which is centric for conveying proper co-presence. So once we have the static capture of the user and the live capture of the user, it's pretty straightforward. We can just remove the points from the glasses and paste or in-paint the point cloud of the user onto it. And using AI to make sure that the transitions between the pictures are smooth. We need to transmit, of course, these data from one user to the other. So there's all type of conversion, encoding, but also parsing the different metadata that we need to convey, package everything, send it to a cloud enabled network, and then there you go. We're going to render it on the other side glasses. In that way, we have a detailed technical pipeline of the system. So what you see here is a blocked base HMD removal pipeline, where at any point of time, we can always tweak and we can always tailor make this pipeline. So for instance, this is particular for expertise at the distance, where we really need to see, okay, the students, for instance, are looking properly at this or that, the things on their desks and so forth. But for another type of use case, we can think of a different type of blocks that can be added to these capture, processing, transmission, and rendering blocks. So again, this is very flexible way of implementing SocialXR. So previously, then you would have the glasses like this, and again, this is me with glasses, but you cannot tell whether I'm happy or I'm sad. And in that way, integrating the HMD removal to the real-time communication will provide you something like this. So this is a slow motion video that I'm showing here. It's not the real-time capture of the users. Why I did that is because I wanted to show you the intrinsic and the details of the elements that we have implemented. You can see my colleague Leonor here that is live being captured as a point cloud, and we in-paint directly where the glasses were, her point clouds there, and you can see her blinking, and you can see that it conveys a lot more co-presence feeling to the XR experience. So this is very slow. It's just to show you how this would look like in real life. And you can see that this has been done with AI. So all the blinking is all integrated in this. Some elements also is that now we also show a little bit of the points of the glasses to make sure that you understand that this is not her real face, it's an in-painted face. Eventually, when we implement this in a real life manner, the points of the glasses are also removed. Now let me go into another topic here, because SocialXR is really about combining human, environment, computer into what we actually can call also mixed reality nowadays, because the metaverse is not only just about virtual reality, it's really conveying an experience to have a social interaction between people. And what we believe is that mixed reality is key to the metaverse. So not only just virtual, but really combining AR and VR in certain manner. An example is, for instance, combining virtual participants to an experience, say, for instance, an XR meeting where people are at home. They will be able to meet people at office by having a digital twin of the office conveyed to the virtual reality users. And the office users would join then with AR, where they would see the virtual participants joining their team. So mixed reality is quite important to convey the sense of being together. At the same time, it has also a lot of requirements in terms of computation, in terms of perception, because of course it's all about human interaction and human perception. And making sure that the conventional reality is there too, because we cannot just all live in cartoons. We need to also have the sense of like especially for business meetings, that we need to have a sense of reality being there. So I'm going to show you a small example that we have been working on, which is combining these two into the mixed reality. And here, this is a quite interesting process. You can see on the left side the augmented reality glass view, where we bring a remote user, so a color and depth capture of the user, into the field of view of somebody who is at the office. And the same goes that very same person can also see the remote user virtual view, where then the persons in the office are brought into the virtual space of the one at home. So combining this XR human with the different dynamic environment capture and the spatial audio will empower the users with the real-time communication platform, and where the ultra-realistic representations are key. Because here, if you can see pixelized point clouds or not so well proportioned or rendered point clouds, will definitely affect the quality of the experience. So I'm going to show you now a little bit how it looks from an observer point of view. And what you can see here is my colleague that is in the media lab of TNO, and we have done an experience where we are trying to set up a augmented reality meeting where there is a remote user who can tweak a bit his appearance. And what you see here is my colleague, so let me see, where's the pointer? My colleague standing up is talking to my colleague as a point cloud. And you can see that the point cloud is the remote user being placed in the surrounding of the user. And you can see here, hope it moves, yes, that my colleague waving real time, you can see that there's barely any latency. And there is a lot of possibilities for the remote user to also define how he wants to be placed and how he wants to be seen. So he can decide to be rotating, but the same goes for the person that is in the stage view, so that the actual real view with the hologram. And you can see that there is a lot of flexibility again added to the experience, where the point clouds and where the users have the capability to interact with a point cloud and have the capability to interact with each other in XR. The benefit of this system is that you are able to real-time adapt your communication, and you're able to move your own visualization. So as a wrap-up from this presentation, I think you all have heard now what are the main building blocks that we believe SocialXR, and especially for the metaverse, we need to convey. And that is that we need to have a real-time communication channel that is socially focused. That means that we really need to make sure that people are experiencing something that is valuable socially, which is through a better eye gaze, to have a shared space, to have an experience persistence, and to have the real-time communication. And for us, we show, for instance, some solutions to those needs, which is removing the HMD virtually and conveying a dynamic XR environment capture, having the mixed reality solutions being properly implemented where integrity and flexibility are key. And of course, cloud-empowered media pipelines. For us, this is like a notion, we should go into that direction and not do just local processing. So all in all, what we believe is that the metaverse is there and it will happen. It's inevitable. And SocialXR for us is the key to this emerging technology, where we should be aware of what is happening. And of course, the more we are building this technology, the better it will be for our life in the future. It will be also the fact that we are going to use it at a daily life. So we need to be aware that this is something that we build already now. So make it more responsible and make it together so that we can be better using it. So that's a bit for my talk. And if you want to know more, because there's a lot more that we have been doing, I just showed you a small glimpse of our work at TNO, but we're doing a lot more also with the haptics, as you can see in this picture. And I'm inviting you to just contact me. You can just scan this QR code. And of course, for collaboration and for partnerships, you're all welcome to talk to me. That was it for my talk. And are there any questions?
Yes. First of all, thank you very much, Sylvie, for this talk. We don't have any questions from the YouTube or Discord so far. So now's the time, please. Feel free to ask anything. Yeah, I think this is a really important challenge to like have a live reconstruction of the avatar in meetings. And like yeah, right now the headsets only have eye tracking. Like did you consider like eyebrows as like a facial feature that's important? I don't know if that's possible to detect inside a VR headset.
Yeah, it's a very good question. Inside the VR, it says right now we only focus on the pupils and the eye gaze. The eyebrows, we are working on it, especially with AI, because we believe that when you have some facial, especially the eyes movements, we can manipulate it and say, okay, this must be something like this. But this is all, based on models. We don't track the eyebrows, and that's a bit of a shame. And that's why for us, for instance, AR enables that, because see-through would enable you to see a bit the eye movements. But yes, this is really an important problem of the current VR environment. How to convey facial features and facial social cues.
Right. And another thing is like that you're trying to use point cloud to enable the real-time reconstruction. But what are your thoughts on this? Like more like a AI methods reconstructing like a 3D mesh of a human face, for example. Is that a suitable alternative to like a point cloud?
Yeah.
Like from yeah.
Yeah, it's a very good question. As I showed, Meta already showed some examples on the codec avatar, which is then capturing a point cloud from a phone, a high-end phone, I must say, and then you would process it with AI, and at the end you would get a model-based representation of the human. What we believe is that we want to keep the processing of the representation so little as possible, so that it reflects exactly your identity. And to us, having a point cloud that is of very good quality is almost better than an avatar based representation of a human. So that's why we stick to the point clouds. Of course, we have to know point clouds are heavy, point clouds are big, and conveying this from one way to the other, especially when we have multiple users, can be cumbersome, because we can think of 1 gigabit per data per second on data transfer. It's
Yeah.
really helpful.
That would be my next question about the data bandwidth issues. So another reason for cartoon avatars is that you can get more people without getting to the bandwidth limits. So, like, what is the current limit of how many people you can have in a meeting with your systems?
Well, I would say it depends really on your system capabilities. Right now, what we see is we need about 40 MB per stream of a user. So if you have a good computer and if you have a good network condition for the overall experience, I would say the sky is the limit. But right now, it's not the case. We are experiencing between 4 and 5 users at the same time. That's already a big thing. And then if we add processing to it, if we add, like HMD removal, for instance, is a very big processing. So if you would do that for 5 people at the same time, yeah, the systems requires for that is really heavy. And that's why we're considering, and that's why I'm suggesting also, cloud-based processing is key here. We need to have that in place. And at this moment, this is still introducing too many delays. So,
Yeah, yeah, indeed. So, like, and what what types of sort of social meetings are like do you have any like clients that are trying to apply this for like a actual meeting, or like you're still working on the more foundational technology?
So it's in both ways. What we do the fundamental research where we build actually the expertise and the knowledge on that. But there's another point that you are exactly mentioned is to define the use cases where it's going to apply to be applied.
Yeah,
Because it's nice to have the metaverse, it's nice to have the social XR, but if no one is going to use it, it's going to be a bit of a bummer. So what we see is that it goes both ways, right? We need to create the need, but also we need to see what the need is. In this particular world, I mean, the pandemic has been a very big driving force, right? Need for communication was there. So for us, it was really also elevating our research and elevating our way of creating the needs. When we talk about application, we really need to think about the user behind. So as I was saying before, there is the user categories. You can think of the elderly, which category has it basically is very hard to bring glasses on a 96 years old person, I can tell you. So
yeah,
and in that way what is important is to also to see what the user is able to do, because if we talk about AR glasses and the manipulation with like gestures, it's maybe intuitive to us as tech savvy, but for people that do not know technology, it becomes directly cumbersome, and I would say even more scary, because then it's like something they don't even know. So for us, it's really key to know what is the user requirement, what the application is. So for instance, is it about teaching? Is it about meeting? Is it about training and so forth, and maintenance and so forth? And depending on this sharp applications, we're going to tailor make a system. And that system can only exist if we know what the user needs, right? We cannot just say this is the system.
yeah, very interesting. I think also, especially since you have the ability to track the environment with the like depth sensor, like creating the point cloud, it's very suitable for teaching something that you can like show, and like you can take some object into the virtual scene as well to show something. So yeah, definitely the technology has to adapt to the scenario. Yeah. All right. We have a little more time, but I don't know. YouTube doesn't. Well, only compliments, but no questions. Uh, what else can we discuss? Yeah, what do you think are like maybe future hardware that you look forward to that can enable even more ability for uh, yeah, user tracking?
Yeah. So in these domains, especially in social interaction, we see haptics, and we see especially the social touch aspect being very little investigated, or at least it's still bulky with big gloves and big appliances. It would be nice to have hand tracking, but also more sleek hardware where the user almost doesn't have to put too many wires and too many things. This is what I see that in the long future should enable people to experience a better interaction and almost don't need to travel. Because what we do here, we develop systems and we develop technology that enables, for instance, low emission, less traffic, the almost no need to travel for conferences and so forth. And for me, the vision that I see here, SocialXR, is a bit like the Ready Player One vision, but it's like, what if we would not need to travel anymore, but that we could experience everything just through XR? How cool would that be? And to me, it's like exploring the different modalities, touch, but also smell. All these modalities that the human is capable of, comprehending actually at a very high level, but we don't make use of it yet. So I'm really hoping for a technological leap in that way.
Interesting. Yeah, especially I think it's technically possible to use sensors to detect more, but then you would soon get to the bandwidth limit with trying to extend this experience into smell or like other things. Uh, yeah, interesting. Um, interesting
so
future ahead.
exactly, and in the future ahead, like if I look at the future ahead with the 6G, for instance, it's already the new technology, right? I'm
Yeah.
thinking from my perspective on SocialXR, it will enable us to have more people collaborating because it will enable us so great bandwidth at the same time the intelligence and the cloud age empowerment. For me, this is key. So we're working towards the same, end goal is to reach a better communication with people.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Long ways ahead. I'm out of questions, but we can also close early if you like. So
That
thank you
is
very
fine.
much. Yeah, and
Thank you.
look forward to the future work from TNO. So
Thank you.
thank
Bye
you.
bye.